paper. So every time that you make an error on your resume, you get a point deducted.
When you first get into college, you need to be open to all the different new opportunities that are presented to yourself.
Sometimes it's tough doing what you want to do in life.
Understand who you are. Disabilities can't be cured. It's who you are. It's your life. So be proud of who you are.
Welcome to Disabilities Redefined, Major Choices and Great Career Paths. This is our third documentary, and it won't be our last, but this documentary I learned more about myself, about what I do, as well as the students that I counsel on the university level. So we're going to start this documentary off with a very special interview by a young lady. She has Down syndrome. She is the only guest who is actually not a student, but she is got an amazing career ahead of her. And with the support of her parents, she is taking the fashion world by storm. Everyone meet top model Alex Garza.
I like it. And really fun. And I like it clothes. I like clothes.
You love clothes.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think we all love clothes. Yes, yes.
I like it makeup.
The makeup.
Yeah, I like it makeup. My hair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And I put me. Who's this? Me.
Yes, in and out of your makeup, you're still you, right?
Yeah.
Well, I've seen some of your beautiful photographs, gorgeous photographs. We will continually edit them in the interview. When she came and told you that she was interested in modeling, what was the response?
Well, everything happened like it was not expected. At first when she was little, yeah, she would get clothes and use them, and she would be watching TV and all that. But everything happened when she started working at Chick-fil-A.
Mm-hmm.
And when she got her first paycheck, and I uploaded a video on social media, on Facebook, just for my Facebook, and it went viral. A lot of people, they ask and they question, but do you think she's gonna become a model, like a professional model? Well, that's not the point. The point is, if she wants to do something, it's my job as mom to support her, as parents to support her. And if she has dreams, why not? I mean, if we are the first one to tell other people they need to include her for awareness and inclusion, and then we're going to be the first ones to limit them and say, oh, you cannot do that because you're Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm putting a stigma on her, and I should not, because I'm supposed to be her number one supporter.
Thank you, Alex, and all the best as you continue to do well in the fashion business. Also, I love what her mother said. I'm supposed to be her number one supporter. And that was an eye-opener for me. You know, as a career counselor, we are supposed to support our students and the decisions they make. And you know what? Hey, sometimes those decisions might be daring. You know, Alex is pursuing her career in fashion, but she also is working at Chick-fil-A. So you do what you have to do. So again, we do not want to add to the stigma, and we do want to support them. Our next guest, Natalie, she is also a very beautiful young woman. Natalie actually inspired my first children's book, Aqua Blue, Visions of a Swimmer, based on her childhood, the childhood of a paraplegic swimmer. Natalie is a graduate of Baruch. She's an accomplished swimmer herself. And she is doing a great job in the corporate world right now. She also has some very, very good advice as far as career outlooks and how to pursue your career and tackle that in a very realistic way. So let's hear what Natalie has to say.
Well, I would actually start earlier, especially
Yes.
for competitive fields. For competitive careers, you definitely have to. Some kids start as early as sophomore year. Second advice would be forget about the disability and make sure you have the skills on the point. Because it's very easy to go to an interview, not to get a job, come back and tell, okay, I didn't get it because of the disability.
Yes.
First, you have to make sure that you have all the other skills required for the job. And only then, if you have all the skills and you don't get a job yet, that maybe like you might consider disability as a factor. But from my own experience, I see employers being quite open-minded, and they're looking for the skills.
Yes, very good point.
Yeah, probably third advice would be don't get discouraged, especially if you're trying to get into competitive field. Lots of people without disabilities don't get hired on their first interview. It's normal, it's practice. Just go out there, do interviews, learn from your mistake, fix whatever was wrong, and go back.
Yeah, good advice.
And just pursue it, and maybe not today, but tomorrow you'll get it.
As stated before, Natalie was actually on Baruch's swim team, and she has got some very, very positive things to say about that as far as her transitioning from college to work.
Wherever I would go, I had something to bring to the table. When I was applying to school, when I was writing my resume, I was putting swimming on my resume. All of the achievements I had in swimming were there. When I was recruiting for jobs, I also mentioned that I'm an athlete. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's not like now I don't swim. I'm not using swimming skills, but there are other transferable skills.
Absolutely. There are transferable skills, and the City University of New York is very, very well aware of that. The Inclusive and Adaptive Sports Initiative is in full swing, with wheelchair basketball becoming very visible thanks to Dr. Chris Rosa and former basketball player and inclusive athletic advisor, coach, Ryan Martin. Check this out.
Yeah, can we hold on? They're going to want a photo or else they get yelled at. Let's get a photo. Some of those skills and core values are the ability to work as a member of a team and the ability to contribute to a real esprit de corps among team members. And I think that working and participating in team sports like wheelchair basketball positions students with disabilities very well with that skill set in order to participate richly in internship opportunities.
You know, sports teaches all of us leadership, being able to work together within diverse populations and things of that nature. And so I think having this program just instills that in more students, and it also provides a recruiting base for companies that are looking for diversity hires. I think adaptive sports prepares our student athletes with disabilities to be more successful in the educational sphere. You know, they get all those intangible skills, those really soft skills, you know, that ability to communicate with different populations, the ability to work in different groups, the ability to have a goal and be outcome driven and have a growth mindset. So I think, you know, sports teaches everybody a lot of things, but I also think at the end of the day, the value that it provides for students with disabilities in the education sphere is quite profound.
Thank you, athletes. While we are on the subject of skills, let's talk about resumes for a second.
My name is Leslie St. Louis. I work for Northwell Health. I'm the inclusion specialist, and I help run the diversity and inclusion program under HR. Normally what I look for is most recent work experience, so whether you're working in 2019 or 18 or whatever the situation might be, so most recent work experience. Then I look for the responsibilities of that work experience. So whether you were a manager or you were a receptionist, what type of work did you do? The second thing that I usually look for is quantifying of the bullet points. So adding measurable value to those bullet points. Because that generally shows the capabilities and the volume of responsibilities that that person is able to handle. That's usually a good indication of what kind of job that person would be good for. Also, what I look for is education to support that experience.
Leslie gave us a very good outline. It's very simple, very focused, and also very proven. And according to taste, we can change the font, the heading size, the style as we wish. What I do appreciate about this resume is that the expertise heading is actually the first heading. And that is a good thing for this reason.
Because usually sometimes, especially with people with disabilities, gaps seem to be a common trend because of a variety of reasons. So I like to say, to fill those gaps is, what were you doing between that time? Whether you were in school, whether you were part of an organization, you were volunteering, child care, family care, but just justifying that gap.
There was one more resume style I found. It is a 2-column style with education first, work volunteer after, and on the second column, skills, personal projects, achievements. The second column could actually help fill in the gaps that Leslie spoke of. This resume is also very clean, crisp, modern. I think I'll start using this a little bit more. Listen, as I said in the beginning of this documentary, it has been a learning experience for me as well. Let's take a minute and listen to what Leslie has to say about going to college to get into the career, the actual career you want to get into.
Understand what the job is and then go to school for that job. Because sometimes, well, not sometimes, a lot of times, I including myself, you come out with a degree and you're not interested in what you got the degree for.
This statement was proven to be 100% correct when Maxim Medeyetsky, Neil Perowit, and Wesley Allen showed up. Always fun with these students around. However, when things calm down on set, they do get serious.
I'm a math major, and that is a lot of work. The difference is that the work is rewarding.
Okay.
Because a lot of more difficult majors, there's no getting around the fact that you will be sitting there for a long time, frustrated because you're trying to figure out a particular problem, but you need to be dedicated enough to get through that.
One of my most difficult classes was probably my favorite class as well, in environmental science. It was really, really dense. I was working on it almost, it's like some weeks almost exclusively just that class. Like I didn't have time for the rest of my classes, but I really loved it and it was so rewarding.
Okay. I started out as a biology major, and the thing that really made me switch to psychology, that made me so much firmer in my belief and confidence in what I was studying, was thinking about the future. And I couldn't imagine any career path through the hard science of biology that I would be comfortable doing for the rest of my life. So as I learned more about the type of work I wanted to do, I feel like the major just fit itself in there.
As I keep repeating, this documentary has been a learning experience for me as well. I realize that when a student comes into my office and says, I'm ready for an internship, they should know and have enough confidence to understand what it's going to take to be a success in that internship. Meaning, you have to have the confidence to go into the career. You don't go into the career first and then gain the confidence. Now, it has to be stated, we're all works in progress. We will all continue to gain confidence, myself included, believe me, myself included, as we grow. Nevertheless, the spark, the real career spark, as far as I'm concerned, does begin on campus. And that has been something that I do appreciate about all of the students that we've brought, in for this documentary, including our upcoming students, which I'm really eager to introduce as well. Anthony Rubin, he is our first College of Staten Island superstar. He actually came with his great good friend Eric Sogo, and they both have very, very good messages. Anthony was a pleasure having on set, so let's hear what he's got to say.
I am a double major in dramatic arts, and my other major, it's a mouthful, so be prepared for this one. It's English with a concentration in linguistics with a minor in speech pathology. So the reason why I got into dramatic arts is because I was involved in my theater program in high school. And being involved in theater also helps you grow with finding a career. For speech, you can do acting therapy, you can do music therapy, anything you think of. So with me doing dramatic arts is awesome. It's not only just about acting, it's a lot more. So just recently I did an internship called the Rudiment Inclusion Ambassadorship. This is for students that are in every type of Hillel, that are also Jewish, that would like to promote disability inclusion and awareness on their campus, and how they can fix some of their issues in their disability service offices, or to help students with disabilities on their campus and their community. It's going to help me grow into a much greater person as I step into applying for grad school for speech and language pathology. This involvement will help me find great job opportunities to help the disabled in my community.
Thank you, Anthony. Now, Katrina Hazel, I want to get this right before I miss Wheelchair New York 2018. Katrina is a beauty queen. She came to the studio, we had a photo session, and she is using her skills and talent in very innovative ways. She already has a jewelry line, and she's, well, let's see what Katrina's doing now. I love this.
Although, I feel like going to college, taking classes, it's a good experience, but I want to be able to use the classes I'm taking to use it on the outside world, not just from the books, but I want to use my personal experience to help others. So I eventually want to work on me learning how to create little action figures for kids and whoever wants to be a part of an action figure for a person with a disability, to show you can become a prince and princess too, and to help them with self-confidence as they grow up with a disability.
Good luck, Katrina. Now let's meet Devin Sauls. He is an illustrator. He has created a very colorful collection of characters, and he also has some very good advice for future art students.
Being an artist is important to me because it's a way of me expressing myself and being free at the same time. And it allows me to see the world in a whole new light. There will be people in your life that are going to try to bring you down and say that you can't do it. And you also have these thoughts that maybe they're right, maybe I can't really do it, but you don't want to listen to those people, and you don't want to listen to those kind of thoughts, because sure, not everyone is gonna like your art style, but you should still develop your art style in a way that's personal to you and expresses who you are, just like how I found my art style in a way that expresses who I am as a person.
Thank you, Devin. You are a very talented artist. Good luck. Now, let's move on to Jason Ross. Jason is a scriptwriter. He is also an advocate for disabilities in the media. He is one of the few students we have in this documentary that have actually appeared in other talk shows and documentaries speaking about their disability, and this is something he is very passionate about.
I want to be a filmmaker because I feel like I want to use my creativity, and I want to use it with the concepts I learned in disability studies and kind of gel together. No, when I did the PBS special initially, I didn't really like how the filmmakers there in the PBS special used a way to talk about fixing people instead of talking about disabled people's lives, you know? In response to that special, I want people to ignore that special completely and just see me as a person who's disabled, who's a disabled person, who's autistic, and is doing something with their life.
Okay, there you have it. Thank you, Jason. Now let's move on to Eric Sogo. He is our second College of Staten Island superstar. He is very motivated, very determined, and he also has a very, very strong message. Let's hear what Eric has to say.
So when I first entered college, I was horrified, honestly, because I came from a high school that had 400 kids to a college that had 6,000 plus students. So that's a big transition right there. It's very difficult because at this, I didn't really want to go because I wanted to sleep a lot. But when I did go to college, I felt very excited and I didn't want to go home because I wanted to get all my work done. I wanted to join as many clubs as I possibly can, and I wanted to meet as many people as I possibly could, because the more people you interact with, the better life will be for you.
Now, when I first met Eric, he had developed a little celebrity status in Staten Island because to prove a point, he had walked from St. George to the Staten Island Mall. Yeah, I think we see the press clipping there. Okay, so let's hear what he has to say about that.
So even though you have limbical muscular dystrophy, nobody really believed, no one really believed that I would be very successful or anywhere close. From middle school all the way to finishing high school, no one believed I would be good, I would go far in life. And no one believed that I would be such an accomplished person. So I tried to prove them wrong by walking from St. George all the way to the Staten Island Mall, which took me 6.5 hours. I did what I did because I wanted to prove to people that no matter how tough an obstacle may be, anything is better than just quitting and giving up.
Well, there you have it. Thank you, students. And I do want to say, Eric Sogo, Eric, the young man who we just finished with from Staten Island, he actually did another walk after the first walk. And this time it was 25 miles and got a lot of attention, a lot of press. Yeah, I think we see the press there, yeah. So congratulations to all of our students on great career paths. And you guys just keep on keeping on, right? That's all they can do.
Exactly.
Now we do have one more quick interview to introduce before we get to Mariko here. Now, Mariko, you are the founder of Project Job.
That's right.
Absolutely, and we're going to conclude with the best.
Hardly.
But let's take a look at KJ and Leonard Blades, who are leaders of the CUNY Coalition for Students with Disabilities.
How do you see CCSD, benefiting you, as you continue, on your own, personal career path?
Well, it helped build up my confidence, of course, and it's definitely teaching me how to get involved with my peers, and yeah, I feel like by being part of CCSD, it's definitely going to lead me to the right path of becoming a good psychologist, because the more I get to listen to my peers, who's going through the exact same thing I'm going through,
Exactly.
the better for me. How about you?
This is my second term, and it's been amazing. So I would definitely tell students, it's okay, to be nervous and to have those, those concerns, going to college, because again, the transition from high school to college, it can seem daunting, but don't let that stop you from putting yourself out there, because you never know what you're going to find.
Exactly.
For me, there are two quotes that I've come across in my life that have really resonated with me. The first is, there is no greater disability in society than the inability to see a person as more.
Yep.
For me, I want people to see me as more than just this wheelchair. I want them to see me, the individual, because I'm so much more than what I'm sitting in.
Yes.
I'm more than my disability, My disability is nothing to be ashamed of. It's a part of my life. It doesn't define all of who I am, but it is a part of me. And there is nothing wrong with that at all. And the other quote is, courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the little voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. And for me, it just reminds me that if you fail, if you make mistakes, it's okay. It's a part of life.
Get up
You
and
know, exactly. You get up, you dust yourself off, you do it again.
Yep.
You try again. And that's what life is about, putting yourself out there, trying.
Do you think that the corporate world is welcoming to the disabled population?
I think every employer that I've met so far is very much on board and supportive of people with disabilities working at their organization. Very supportive. And I think it's because they realize it's the right thing to do. Now, with that said, I think companies in general, or organizations in general, are at very different stages of where they are in working with people with disabilities and including them in the workplace. Right.
And I love that you say stages, because that's important. We see that ourselves. Yes.
They're it's natural. It's like, they're like people, right? We're not all at the same level. And what's interesting is that the most common thing that they tell me is, we just need to be a little more aware of the range of disabilities. Our population has a set of skills.
Yes.
A set of interests, whether they have the skills or not, or they have their interests, right? I mean, they have those interests.
And interests are, hey.
That's where it all starts.
That's where it all starts. And that pretty much,
that.
that brings it all together. Because earlier on we did, we presented this documentary. First of all, we had a discussion about majors. Disabilities Redefined, major choices. And then we got into great career paths. So the major choice was a discussion presented to the audience, a discussion with Queens College students. Everyone had a story to tell about their major. And it pretty much boiled down to what they were interested in.
Right.
And then the career paths, great career paths, is just, hey, keep going. When you're interested in something, you're going to do it better. You're going to want to do it.
Or you may change what you,
you may change
not a
from
linear path.
There you go.
Right?
But somehow along the way, that interest has to be there.
Yes.
What can I say, Mariko? It's been great.
Oh, wonderful, Dr. Wagner.
So for me, I realized I was going to be okay when I had to ask for help. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid, of someone judging me or someone looking at me like, "What, you can't do that?"
The professors just treated me as normal as possible, and having classes and talking to me and stuff like that. That's when I was like, oh.
You're just like them at the end of the day, except your circumstance is different.
So I didn't, and you shouldn't let anything or anyone stop you from really doing what you really want in life.
The human experience is about building relationships.
What really matters is, are you capable of doing that position? And if you're sitting in front of that hiring manager, you are capable
yeah, when I was in mechanical engineering, I didn't like that. And I just remember vividly, I was on the, one train going up to City College. I was listening to a great books series and, an ebook. Going to a mechanics and materials class, and I was like, I really do not want to go to this class. I would so much rather be listening to this book or doing anything else. And it was just soul crushing.
I decided to tell my story because I wanted to help change the world in the way they thought about disability.
I feel like I lived through these characters, especially in the case of Xavier.
So for those that don't know who I am, again, I'm going to repeat. I'm Anthony Rubin. I am a college student at the College of Staten Island. I'm 21 years old, going to be 22. Going back to the disability question, I had severe ADHD up until I was 15, which meant that I had to take a medication to help me with my focusing in school. Because as a student myself, I tend to lack focus. So that's what happened to me up until I was 15. But now being in college, being involved on campus, being involved in anything that I can think of, I'm now thinking if I took a step back to my childhood, let's say, I wasn't like this when I was younger and before. Now I have the advantage and opportunity to say, hey, I'm a student myself, I am a good student, I have a good GPA. And for those that are watching this, I have faith in you.
Hey guys, everybody wave.